I fell in love with a man. To catch his attention, I became his rival. He got so angry that he refused to see me. So, I pretended to be a naive and sweet artist to get close to him. He fell for it. It turned out that he wasn't against loving men, he just wasn't in love with Pauline Thompson. Well, I stopped pretending. I stood on the villa's balcony. I saw a car pull into the garage next door, and quickly rushed downstairs to the kitchen to chop onions. When the tears started flowing, I ran to ring the doorbell next door. The door opened, and Mark Russell, the house's owner, stood there in a bathrobe with his chest exposed. I couldn't help but swallow as I looked at his muscular body. "Sir, have you seen my cat?" Mark stared at my face in a daze, shocked and unable to believe what he was seeing. I instinctively touched my face, wondering if I had cut myself with the onions. Mark snapped out of it. "What did you just say?" "Sir, have you seen my cat?" I repeated. "What cat?" Mark's voice was soft and pleasant. It was so different from the cold, aloof tone he used in interviews with the media. "A cow cat named Kitten." I pulled out a photo of the kitten from a few months ago when I visited my subordinate, James Owen's house, and showed it to Mark. "It's gone." "I haven't seen it." Seeing me cry more intensely, Mark's expression softened. I wiped my tears while sneakily glancing at Mark. "Can I search your house for it? I live next door, and our gardens are adjacent. I'm afraid it might have climbed over the wall." "Whoa," I cried louder. Mark took me to his backyard to look for the cat. There was none. I gazed at Mark expectantly. He took me through every room in his house except the study. I lock the door to the study when I enter or exit. There's no way a cat could have gotten in unnoticed. He patiently explained. I understood. Any document in his study could be a commercial secret. Besides, I knew better than anyone whether Kitten was in the study. A look of concern flashed in his eyes, and he started suggesting ideas. We could have the property help check the security footage, or ask the guards to help search. I nodded and said goodbye to Mark at the door. "Sorry for bothering you." Mark took out a handkerchief and pointed at my face. "Thank you, sir." I took it, wiped my face, and casually tucked it into my pocket. I couldn't help feeling a little pleased. It gave me a reason to see him again. "I'll return it after I wash it." "No need to call me sir, just Mark. I'm a little older than you." "Mark. What's your name?" "Norman." Mark's eyes lit up. "Are you the artist Norman? You know me?" I was stunned. "I've seen your art exhibition, and I really liked it. But the gallery said the pieces weren't for sale. It's been a regret of mine. Artist Norman is another identity of mine. When I was young, many teachers praised my talent for painting. But with a big family business to inherit, I was the only heir. Painting could only remain a hobby. During those years of hiding my talents, I lived a carefree life, indulging in pleasures outside. But when I returned home, I would dive into my art studio. I accidentally created many pieces I was proud of. I didn't hold exhibitions under my real name. Instead, I adopted the name Norman. Over the years, I held several small exhibitions which were highly praised by both the industry and the public. Mark was visibly excited. "You look much younger than I imagined. Can I ask your age? Did you graduate from college?" His sudden enthusiasm caught me off guard. "I just graduated with a master's degree." "Sorry, I got too excited." Mark restrained himself and smiled at me. "Thank you for liking my art." I felt flattered. Mark, still in his bathrobe and slippers, insisted on walking me home. He even stood at my door, as if waiting for me to invite him inside. Looking at his exposed skin, I feared I wouldn't be able to control myself from tearing off his clothes. "Thank you, Mark, for walking me home." Later, I observed for a few days. Mark usually comes home around 11 p.m. That day it rained, so I started searching for the cat near my house early. I made sure to be seen by Mark as he drove home, drenched to the bone. I stood by the roadside watching Mark's car slowly pass. Then I turned and started rummaging through the greenery. I heard the car stop, and someone quickly ran over. A single umbrella appeared over my head. I looked up to see Mark. "Mark, what are you doing?" Mark bent down and held the umbrella over me. I can't find kitten, what should I do? I knelt, rainwater streaming down my face. The rain is too heavy. Let's go home first. Mark helped me into the car and wrapped me in a blanket. He drove while comforting me. Don't worry too much. I've already informed the property management. If they spot a stray cat, they'll let me know. I remember what kitten looks like. Let's get home and take a hot shower. Don't catch a cold. I came home and went straight to bed in my soaked clothes. Sure enough, I woke up the next day with a cold. My throat hurt, my nose was blocked, and my head throbbed. By afternoon, chills started hitting me in waves. I knew I must have a fever. I didn't take any medicine, and stubbornly tried to tough it out until evening. When Mark got home, I went over to ring his doorbell again. As soon as the door opened, I collapsed into him. A pair of strong hands caught me. Norman, what happened? Mark asked urgently. I frowned, leaning against his chest. Mark, I think I have a fever. Do you have any fever medicine? My voice had become hoarse. Mark quickly helped me inside and had me sit on the couch. His hand pressed against my burning forehead. I held his hand and said, Mark, your hand feels so nice. Mark let me keep holding his hand. You have a fever. I'll take you to the hospital. No hospital. Mark, I just need some fever medicine. A nap and I'll be fine. Mark found the medicine cabinet and carefully made a phone call to the doctor. He then gave me a few types of medicine to take. After I took the medicine, I refused to get up from his couch. Mark looked at me with concern. Can you still get up? I shook my head, exaggerating. Why are you spinning? Don't burn yourself, silly. Mark gently touched my forehead and then picked me up. I wrapped my arms around his neck. Mark, where are we going? To bed. It'll be more comfortable. Mark carried me to his room and laid me on his bed. I clung to his neck, unwilling to let go. Mark lay beside me, holding me close. What's wrong? Mark, I'm cold. I shivered in his arms. He was wearing loungewear, the top 2 buttons undone. I pressed my burning cheek against his chest, seeking comfort. Mark didn't push me away. Instead, he wrapped his arms around me. I got bold. I reached up and undid all of Mark's buttons, burying my face in his chest. Mark froze for a moment, then wrapped me in his open shirt. He covered me with a blanket. Is it really cold? Your hands are so cold. I clung to Mark, my hands roaming his back. Mark, hold me tighter. Mark squeezed me tighter, our bodies pressed together. Norman, take your medicine. Half awake, I was called to attention. I opened my eyes and saw Mark holding a cup of medicine. He pulled me up and wrapped me in his arms, holding the cup nearly to my lips. I turned my face and leaned into his chest. Mark, I don't want to drink it, I pouted. This medicine isn't bitter, it's sweet, Mark cooed gently. It smells bad, I don't want it. I began to fumble around, touching him. I noticed that the buttons I had undone earlier were now all done up again. I undid each one again, running my fingers along Mark's abs as I spoke. Mark, your body is so beautiful. Can you be my model? Drink the medicine first. Mark held my hand to stop me from touching him. Can I? I looked at him with wide eyes. Mark sighed and nodded. Okay. He brought the cup to my mouth. Be good, drink the medicine. I avoided it, looking up at Mark. His lips were naturally elegant, exuding a deadly temptation. I swallowed hard. Mark, could you feed me? Mark, holding the cup, looked puzzled. Aren't I feeding you already? I shook my head. Not like this. How then? Like this. And with that, I kissed him. Mark's lips were softer than I imagined. He froze for a moment, clearly stunned. I feared he'd push me away. I kissed him desperately, using every ounce of strength I had. After letting me kiss him for a while, Mark finally began responding. He kissed me gently, quickly taking control. I was kissed into a daze, my head spinning. Mark pulled away, tilted his head, and drank from the cup, then passed it to me. The medicine was bitter and unpleasant. But Mark's kiss was sweet and intoxicating. He fed me the medicine in several attempts, then wiped my mouth with a tissue. I leaned softly against Mark, my hands restlessly roaming his abs. I kissed his neck again, pulling him closer. The next morning, I woke up in Mark's arms. "Are you awake?" Mark's voice, deep and magnetic, was soft and gentle. Seeing his dark circles under his eyes, I felt a pang of guilt. "Did you not sleep all night? We had a restless night, but at least your fever is down." Mark stroked my forehead. I could only remember him taking care of me, and I had shamelessly taken advantage of the situation. "I don't remember." I began to act innocent. "It's fine, it wasn't anything important." Mark's expression seemed a little disappointed. Mark didn't go to work. Instead, he stayed home to take care of me. He brought files from his study into the bedroom. He didn't even try to hide them from me, letting me sit in his arms as we went through the confidential documents. I stayed in his arms, browsing videos on my phone. Occasionally, when I couldn't hold back a laugh, Mark would lean over to see what I was watching. Eventually, he stopped reading the files and joined me in watching videos. The video played randomly, and suddenly, James' face appeared on the screen. It seemed like a live broadcast. I quickly swiped to the next video. Not long after, Mark suddenly stood up. "Norman, what do you want for lunch?" "I'll go buy groceries." "You're going to cook?" "You can just order groceries online." "I prefer going to the supermarket, fresh ingredients." "Up to you, I'll eat anything." Once Mark left, I rushed to my garage to get my car. Earlier, in James's live stream, his stupid cat had made an appearance. James loved his cat so much that he often brought it to the office. I drove my sports car, taking a shortcut to get to the office before Mark. I stormed into James's office and asked, "Where's your cat?" James was sitting behind his desk when he pulled Kitten out of his jacket. "What's up?" I rushed over and grabbed Kitten. "Let me borrow it for a few days." James quickly snatched Kitten back. "Although you're my boss, Kitten is like my son. I'm not lending him." The secretary knocked at the door. "Mr. Thompson, Mr. Owen, the president of the Russell family is here." "Where?" James asked. "Just outside." I had told the admin staff earlier that if Mark arrived, there was no need for an appointment. Just bring him straight to me. Hearing familiar footsteps, I quickly grabbed Kitten and hid under the desk. James went out to greet Mark. "Mr. Russell, what brings you here today?" "My friend recently lost a cat. It looks a lot like yours. Can I see it?" My cat has been with me for years." "Kitten." The stupid cat, hearing its name, wriggled and jumped out of my arms. I reached out but grabbed only air, quickly hiding under the desk. "I'll take it back to my friend to confirm. If it's not the one, I'll return it." "Mr. Russell, this is my cat. Do you have any proof?" Mark was pressing for answers. "Proof? I'll show you photos and videos from when it was a kitten." James was getting frustrated. I quickly texted James, "Give the cat to him." "I'll look for it, can't seem to find it." "Forget it, you can take it." After confirming that Mark had left, I crawled out from under the desk. James looked displeased. "You'd better return the cat by tonight." After confirming that Mark had left, I quickly drove back home. Just as I parked in the garage, I heard a car next door. I took the opportunity to rush upstairs to lie down in his bedroom. Mark came upstairs and placed James's cat in front of me. I pretended to be surprised. "Where did you find it?" Kitten recognized me and eagerly rubbed against me. "I found it at the community gate." Took some effort to catch it. Mark lied seriously. I pretended to be smitten as I played with Kitten. Seeing Mark looking at me with adoration, I leaned in and kissed him. I briefly brushed my lips against his. "Thank you, Mark." "Is that all?" Mark pulled me in and kissed me deeply. Kitten wisely ran away. I was kissed senseless, my head spinning. Mark's hands slid into my shirt, gripping my waist tightly, as if to devour me. "Mark?" I felt the danger and quickly pushed him away. The best hunters often appear as prey, but you should never let them eat you. I was too hasty, wasn't I? Mark reached out and gently ruffled my hair, trying to comfort me. I took Kitten back to my place. Not long after, James came pounding on my door. I quickly pulled him inside. "What are you doing here?" "What do you think I'm doing?" James lifted up a bag of cat food. "We have cat food at home." I had stocked up on a full set of cat supplies before, to trick Mark into believing Kitten had gone missing. James poured the food into a bowl, and Kitten immediately went over to eat. Kitten only eats this brand. James lovingly petted the cat. Return him soon. You can't take care of him properly. Ding dong. The doorbell rang. I peeked through the peephole and saw Mark standing outside. Quick, hide, Mark's here. James hugged the cat and ran into the downstairs storage room. I opened the door, blocking Mark from entering. Mark handed me a few boxes of medicine. You're still sick, you need to take these. Thank you. I reached out to take the medicine. Is someone visiting you? What do you mean? Mark pointed at James's car outside. As I pondered how to respond, a dark shadow dashed past me. Kitten. James shoved past me and ran after the cat. I let James leave with the cat. Mark stayed with me, watching James's car drive away. Norman, would you like to explain to Mark? What's your relationship with James? I saw Mark's dark expression and cautiously asked, do you think Mark will believe what I say? As long as it's you saying it, Mark will believe you. I had no choice but to make up a story. James helped me fund an art exhibition before. We were together. We just broke up recently. The cat is definitely his, but I've been taking care of it. He came to take it without telling me a few days ago. That's how this misunderstanding happened. Mark held my hand and led me inside. He sat me down on the couch, holding me in his lap. I leaned into his arms. Did Mark misunderstand? Mark toyed with my hand. Is Mark jealous? Does Mark like me? Yes. Mark lowered his head and kissed me, his lips delicately pressing against mine. I was completely powerless to resist. Mark likes Norman, likes him so much he's going crazy. Mark pinned me on the couch, kissing and touching me. I let him do as he pleased until his hands moved lower. I grabbed his hand. Mark, I'm not ready yet. Mark kissed my ear, his breath warm against the back of my ear. A tingling sensation ran down my spine, even reaching my tailbone. You've had boyfriends before, but why are you still so shy? I pushed Mark's face away. I never did anything with James, I said, speaking the truth. I felt Mark's body stiffen instantly. He lifted me up. Norman, what did you just say? I never even had a boyfriend. How could I have done anything? I don't like him. We haven't even kissed. Mark smiled, a little unsettlingly. He kissed me furiously, and we were both set ablaze. My heart raced and my body felt lighter. The next moment, Mark's body pressed down on me, and I snapped to full awareness. I shoved Mark off the couch and rolled over, pinning him beneath me. I leaned down and kissed Mark, asserting my control. Mark sat up and kissed me, unknowingly pushing me back onto the couch. I couldn't handle the tension, so I tried something gentler. Mark, it's my first time, please be gentle. But it's my first time too. Mark's strength was overwhelming, and despite my struggles, he had me pinned to the couch. I panicked for no reason, and before I knew it, I was crying. Mark instantly became frantic, releasing me and holding me in his arms. I'm sorry, don't cry. I officially became involved with Mark. Most of the time I stayed at his house. He was very interested in my paintings. Every time he viewed my works, I would beg him to model for me. Sometimes it was for sketches. Other times it was for oil paintings. Occasionally, we'd get creative in the studio. We slept together every night. We tried everything except the final step. We found ways to comfort each other. But, of course, it wasn't enough. But neither of us was willing to compromise. I delegated most of the company's affairs to James. For larger projects, he would consult with me. One day, he called me, Mr. Thompson, we secured the bid for City A. Mark frowned at me. James' voice was so loud that I wasn't sure how much Mark had heard. I quickly covered the microphone and stepped outside. Got it. This project, the Russell family also participated in the bid. Tisk, why are you still competing with the Russell family? You never said to stop competing with them. It was my oversight. Don't compete with them again. The Thompson family and the Russell family have different fields of expertise. Before, I crossed over and competed with him just to get his attention. Although the Russell family had better technology, The Thompson family had more money. As long as we were willing to spend, no project was out of our reach. Now that we were together, there was no need for those petty, self-destructive acts. I hung up the phone and returned to the room. Mark looked serious as he answered a call. He quickly ended the call when he saw me. He was staring at the bidding results on his phone, and I nervously asked, "What's wrong?" "It's nothing." Mark threw his phone aside and reached for me, pulling me into a hug. I enjoyed the closeness, wrapping my arms around his neck and kissing him. After a while, Mark seemed to feel better. "Norman, have you ever met Pauline Thompson?" He stared at me intently, as if searching for the answer in my eyes. I hastily avoided his gaze, turning my head to rest on his shoulder. "Who's Pauline Thompson?" "James's boss." "I haven't met him, he doesn't seem to come to the office." "Have you heard James talk about him?" "No, do you know him?" "I know of him, but haven't met him. He's ruthless, does whatever it takes to get things done. It's better not to meet him." "You've never met him, how can you jump to conclusions?" I said angrily. Mark gently rubbed my hair. "Norman, not everyone is as innocent as you." In recent days, Mark's mood seemed off. I felt guilty and wanted to avoid the situation. There was a business meeting in M Country. Though James was speaking, I also wanted to attend the event. I told Mark I was going on a week-long sketching trip to another city. It was the end of the year, and Mark was busy nonstop. He simply couldn't spare that much time to come with me. He reluctantly sent me to the airport. "Stay in touch." James was waiting for me at another city's airport. We boarded the flight to M Country together. "How long do you plan to keep this from him?" "Until he's in a better mood." That project has been in preparation for a long time. We snatched it at the last moment. I heard Mark threw a fit at the company. "Most I'll do is compensate him." Our bid was almost exactly what theirs was, and now they're starting to suspect someone in the company is a mole. "I know their bid, but I didn't tell you." "I know, but if Mark finds out you're Pauline, he probably won't believe it." Mark had no suspicion of me. Although his study was always locked, he rarely worked in his study. At home, he was always within my sight. Confidential company documents, high-level calls, and meetings were never kept from me. I knew every major decision he made. But if I said everything was buried in my heart, would Mark believe me? James took the stage to speak. The entire room erupted in applause. Suddenly, someone sat in the seat next to James's nameplate. I turned around. I saw Mark's cold, sinister face. Mark deliberately pushed me aside, pointing at Pauline's nameplate. "Norman, why are you sitting in Mr. Thompson's seat?" I knew Mark had figured everything out. I stood up and walked outside, and as expected, Mark followed. I walked out onto the terrace, took a cigarette from my pack and lit it. I took a deep drag, exhaling slowly, watching Mark's increasingly dark expression through the smoke. Mark didn't like the smell of smoke, and when we were together, I had even quit smoking. But it was suffocating. "Mr. Thompson has some methods," Mark mocked. "But in the end, he still didn't get anything," I said with a deliberately regretful look, raising my hand to smoke. Mark removed my hand and leaned down to kiss me. Cough, cough. He coughed uncontrollably from the smoke, yet he continued to kiss me aggressively, even as he coughed. The pain hit me and I tasted blood in my mouth. I instinctively pushed Mark away, but he held me even tighter. "Pauline, doesn't your conscience hurt?" Mark took me to the hotel room. He pinned me on the bed. "Even if your tears dry up today, I won't stop." 3 months ago, the rooftop revolving restaurant had been cleared. I sat there alone, staring blankly. James walked up to me. Although I had guessed it, I still foolishly asked, "Has Mark arrived?" James shook his head, hesitating as he pulled out his phone. I saw a live broadcast of an event. Mark was surrounded by a group of reporters, being interviewed. "He won't be coming." James put away his phone. I opened the tablecloth. "Serve the food. Sit down and eat with me." After the meal was served, I looked at the custom dishes prepared by the restaurant. I had no appetite. James ate voraciously, like a starving ghost. When he saw I wasn't eating, he urged, "It's really delicious, try it." I tasted the food, Of course, I knew it was delicious. Just eat. I shook a cigarette from the pack and lit it. I took a deep drag and exhaled, turning my head to look at the night view outside. Mark was a rising business star in High City. After studying abroad, he started his company. With his sharp business instincts and extraordinary execution, he rose to prominence in just 3 years at lightning speed. As for me, I was his opposite. Born with a golden key, the second-generation heir of wealth. On the surface, I was a frivolous playboy with no ambition. But it couldn't be helped. My father passed away when I was still young. Although I inherited the shares smoothly, since I was a minor at the time, my civil rights were limited. The right to exercise and manage the shares was in the hands of my guardian, my mother. There wasn't really any problem with that. But my mother was soft-hearted. She couldn't handle the relatives who were eyeing my father's inheritance. I asked my father's trusted assistant to find a professional manager, James, to help manage the company. I turned a blind eye to the relatives in the company. I could only lay low and be the rich heir who squandered the family wealth. It wasn't until I turned 18 that I took back control of the company's management. I thoroughly cleared out those relatives who were like wolves and tigers. I didn't like crowded places. For all public events, James would represent me. At the time, Mark's company had just emerged. I had people gather his information and analyze it. The assistant bought a bunch of magazines with his interviews. Mark, on the cover of financial magazines, was even more handsome than top entertainment stars. I specifically searched for his interviews online and was moved by his eloquence and charm. When I found out he was single, I had James arrange a meeting with him under the guise of the Thompson family wanting to collaborate. He refused. I then arranged a meeting under my personal name, Pauline. He still refused. I tried to meet him over a dozen times, but each time he rejected me. I even secretly attended parties he was at just to catch a glimpse of him from afar. No matter how many people were there, he was always the most striking one. With his height of nearly 1.9 meters, broad shoulders, narrow waist, and impeccably tailored suit, I could spot him easily with just a glance. He was simply too eye-catching. His features were deep, his jawline sharp. How could someone be so perfectly aligned with my aesthetic? Each time I saw him, I fell more. This time, I didn't expect much from the invitation, but Mark didn't directly refuse. I thought he was willing to meet me. But instead, I was stood up. I calmly finished my cigarette. Mark wants that piece of land, doesn't he? He'll do anything to get it. I originally intended to buy it and collaborate with him. But he thought the Thompson family was deliberately targeting him. With my short temper, I just went along with it and started opposing him at every turn. Anything Mark wanted, I would rather to win the battle but suffer heavy losses, than let him have it. The good news was that I finally caught his attention. The bad news was that it made him even more unwilling to meet me. I had no choice but to pretend to be the naive, sweet artist to get close to him. I woke up from this absurdity. I was lying in Mark's arms, just like every other morning we'd spent together. Except for the discomfort that kept creeping up from behind. I got up, picked up my clothes from the floor and put them on. Mark stared at me coldly. "Don't you have anything to say to me?" I finished dressing, fixing my hair in the mirror. Mark was already dressed too. "Do you believe what I say?" I asked, glancing at Mark's expression in the mirror. "I believe every word Norman says," Mark replied, his tone shifting. "But Pauline, I don't believe a single word from her." I turned around to look at him, my eyes burning with emotion. "I invited you so many times, and at one point, I thought you didn't like men. It turns out it's not that you don't love men, you just don't love Pauline." Mark pushed me against the wall, his hands pressing firmly on either side of me. He almost growled, "Who the hell are you?" Seeing Mark's trembling lips, my body moved before my brain could catch up. I tilted my head back and kissed him. His hands slowly fell to my shoulders, pulling me tightly against him. The deep kiss nearly drained all my energy. With my last ounce of reason, I pushed him away. "I'm Pauline." Mark's face turned cold instantly. "Is it fun, playing me like a fool?" "It's fun," I said, making a mock gesture. I like playing with my opponents, having them dance in my palm. Mr. Thompson sure put in a lot of effort this time, even betting himself. Mark clenched his teeth, clearly furious. I gritted my teeth. It's not a loss. After all, I enjoyed it too. You. Mark's fist clenched, but he didn't strike me. Let's call it a goodbye, fuck, I said. Are you breaking up with me? I suddenly became anxious. Mark sneered. Mr. Thompson, do you really think we can go back to how we were? I knew we couldn't. I lowered my head, holding back the tears that were threatening to spill. Mark, can you hold me again? I tried not to let my voice sound too pitiful. Don't use Norman's tone when you speak, Mark said. The one Mark had always loved, from the beginning to the end, was the pure artist Norman. In the end, Mark still held me. We parted ways at the airport. I got into James's car. But I still had him take me to the house next to Mark's. James played with a cat toy among a pile of cat supplies. Did you two have a fight? I sat on the couch, exhausted, stating the facts. We broke up. Really? I saw him keep stealing glances at you on the plane. He likes the naive, teetotaling artist, Norman. I thought back to the mess I had made over the years. My reputation's a mess. How could he like me? So, are you going to keep pretending to be the naive artist? I don't want to pretend anymore. James picked out a few toys and stuffed them into his pocket. I'm leaving. Kitten is still waiting for me at home. Your face doesn't look too good. Take care of yourself. Call me if you need anything. Got it. With the sound of the door closing, the house fell into a dead silence. After I boarded the plane, I started running a low fever, feeling terrible all over. I dug out the fever medicine Mark had given me before and took a few pills haphazardly. I lay down on the couch, feeling miserable. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see Mark's room upstairs, the lights still on. He must have just gotten home, maybe showering, maybe working. I felt cold all over and I missed him, wanted him to hold me. It got colder, so I went upstairs, lay on the bed, wrapped in blankets, and drifted into a feverish sleep. I tossed and turned, alternately sweating and shivering. Until I dreamt of Mark holding me, I finally felt a little better. He fed me medicine, held me, comforted me. I kissed him, and he didn't reject me. I hit him, and he didn't strike back. It was all just a dream. I woke up the next morning. The room was empty, just me. It felt like Mark's presence lingered in the bed. The touch of him holding me in my dream was so real. All the memories from when we were together. Felt like a dream from yesterday. Eventually, there was a day when I would wake up. I called a moving company to pack up all my things. I carefully wrapped my most famous painting in brown paper. I rang the doorbell at Mark's house. Mark opened the door, coldly saying, "The password hasn't been changed." He stepped aside, letting me in, but I stood at the door. Breakup gift. I smiled as I handed him the painting. Mark took the painting, unwrapped the brown paper, and his face immediately showed disappointment when he saw the painting. It seemed like he didn't even like my art anymore. I took the handkerchief he had given me out of my pocket. I'm returning this too. The handkerchief had been in use for a while, a bit worn. Mark looked down. Just throw it away. I stuffed it back into my pocket. Consider it your gift in return. Are you moving out? Mark asked, looking at the movers coming and going. Yeah, living here always made me think of you, it was hard. Norman, I'm Pauline, I interrupted Mark. I knew what he was going to say, but I no longer wanted to pretend or cater to him. Goodbye. Although I casually said goodbye. I missed Mark every day after I moved out. James said the Russell family had completely withdrawn from projects involving the Thompson family. I guessed he didn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. The longing was overwhelming. I replayed in my mind all the steps I took to deliberately get close to Mark. I couldn't understand it. Once, all I wanted was to see him, to have a meal together. I never dared to hope to hold his hand. People are truly greedy. Once I could hold his hand, embrace him, kiss him, I wanted more. I couldn't bear the thought that he preferred another version of me. Love makes people vulnerable, and it seems I'm no exception. I retreated into my studio, projecting all my love and longing for Mark onto the canvas. 6 months later, I held an art exhibition under the name of Pauline. At the same time, I personally wrote an invitation to Mark. The exhibition lasted for a week. Until the very last day, Mark never showed up. The main piece of the exhibition was an abstract of Mark. Perhaps only I knew that the painting was of him. I titled it, Lover. The gallery director, seeing me standing forlornly in front of the painting, asked, "Is Mr. Thompson waiting for someone?" "Do you know Mark?" "Yes, he really likes your paintings. He said he wanted to buy one of my pieces. Do you know which one?" "I believe it's this one," the gallery director said, handing me his phone. On the screen was a self-portrait of mine. To prevent anyone from recognizing me, I had hidden certain features. But there was still a certain resemblance. I thought it looked pretty close, but James said it didn't. So I confidently displayed it. I drove to Mark's house. No one answered the door when I rang the bell. I hesitated and entered my birthday as the passcode. I could never remember the code to his house, so Mark had changed it to my birthday. The door opened. He hadn't changed the password after all. But Mark wasn't home. I went up to the second-floor study. The door was locked with a password lock. I tried entering my birthday. Unlocked. The mechanical voice chimed. I opened the door and stepped into Mark's study. The walls were lined with bookshelves, and a desk piled high with documents stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows. I approached the desk, not noticing anything unusual. Turning around, I saw a painting hanging on the wall opposite the desk. It was the self-portrait Mark wanted to buy. The original was in my studio. I stepped closer to inspect it, only to realize it was a 1-to-1 reproduction of the photo. Framed beautifully, I wondered how long it had been with Mark. So he really did love Norman that deeply. I sat on the floor of the study, imagining how Mark must have felt as he gazed at this painting. He changed the study's passcode to my birthday. This meant he had secretly hoped I would discover this place. Just like I had named his painting Lover. Held a grand exhibition for him. Placed the confession painting in a prominent spot. Hoping he would instantly recognize the overflowing emotions and love. Love and affection. These simple words couldn't carry the depth of our feelings. I decided to wait for Mark to return and have a proper conversation with him. If he still liked Norman, I could keep pretending to be the naive artist. As the sun set, I waited for my lover's return. My phone rang, but I didn't want to answer it. It wasn't until the third ring that I picked it up. "Mr. Thompson, where are you?" It was the gallery director. "What's going on?" "Mr. Russell, Mark is here." I drove at full speed back to the gallery. I rushed along. Only when I saw Mark's figure in the distance did I slow my pace. I quietly crept up behind him. "Where have you been?" Mark didn't turn around. I glanced around, confirming I was the one he was speaking to. "I didn't go anywhere," I replied, a bit nervously. "I haven't seen this one before. When did you paint it?" Mark's gaze stayed fixed on Lover. "I painted it recently." Although I hoped he would see the painting, I still felt shy when he actually noticed it. I had laid my heart out for exhibition, hoping he would glance at it so humbly. Just like how he had kept my portrait, but locked it away with my birthday passcode. "I haven't seen your other works displayed," Mark said, now recognizing the painting was of him. "The others are too revealing. I didn't want to show them to others." I, of course, had my own selfish reasons. Mark turned and stretched out his arms. I hesitated, not moving. Mark stepped forward and embraced me. "Did you miss me?" "No," I said, trying to be tough. Mark kissed my forehead, his tenderness mixed with restraint. "I missed you. You want Norman. I want you and I love you." Mark held me tightly in his arms. "Whether it's Norman or Pauline, it's all you." "Pauline, I love you." I sighed deeply. "Then can I smoke?" Mark took my hand and brought it to his nose, sniffing it. "How much have you been smoking lately?" "Just a little." I felt guilty. "You can smoke, but I hope you do it less. It's bad for your health." "Can I drink alcohol? Didn't you drink enough at the party the other day?" "How do you know?" "I was there too. I watched you the whole night. Didn't you notice?" I kissed Mark, stopping him from continuing his lecture. Mark kissed me gently. I finally confirmed the overwhelming love he had for me. I no longer cared whether he had first loved my painting or me as a person. I only cared that, at this moment, the one he loved was me. After all, it was always me.
Thanks for stopping by. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.